so you can
Got it.
Thank you. So I wanted us to explore this in story time about sharing stories, if you're willing to, about how you came from not loving yourself to loving yourself, if there was a story behind that or something that you noticed or wanted to share about that, or what are things that you're doing to start to grow that self-love. If you're not at that point right now, what are some things that you do notice or that you do, actively do to try to grow that for yourself, or is it even important for you? That may be the case as well, so just offering that as a opportunity for us to dive into.
Well, I can start. Yeah, the story is like I migrated here and I have an auntie, but now I don't live with my auntie, live on my own, and I'm not married and I don't have children. And then I always regret that, because that's something that I always wanted, but it didn't happen. But one thing that made me change, towards having more care about myself was I said, oh, I like to cook for people. I like to do things for people. And then I said, oh, and I also help, my sometimes I babysit my friends' children. And then I said, oh, it would be nice to take care of somebody, make the food, make the things. And then at one point I said, I can do that for myself, I can make the nice food for me. I can take care of me. So then I said, well, maybe I am the child that I need to nurture and I need to look after. So it's been just recently that I said, all the things I wanted to do for a child or a partner or somebody, that I said, oh, I don't have anybody to, to cook for. And then I said, well, that somebody's me. So then I started making nice food for me, start making, things that, and also when I come home, I need to find the house clean and smelling nice and, put all these candles, because it's me who's going to live in here. So yeah, I recently I have this big realization. So yeah, and I start thinking differently and things go better. Like I realize that everything goes well. But yeah, that's my little story.
I love that. Thank you, Patricia. Do we pass this around, Noelle?
whatever you say. We'll call this your exercise. You do it however you like.
Yeah, we can pass to someone else if you'd like, Patricia.
Yeah, I would like to pass it on to Wallace.
And also as a reminder, you have the opportunity to pass if that's
okay.
More
so you pass or you okay, Wallace?
So that must be hello there, everybody. Part of my Peruvian upbringing in South America, being social, fixing things, food especially for others. So I totally get where you're coming from, Patricia, because I love cooking for other people, and especially people who haven't had Peruvian food. If you haven't had Peruvian food, let me put a pitch in there for Peruvian food. Go find yourself a Peruvian person and eat some of the most fabulous food you'll ever eat. And that's not because, being raised in, my brothers and everything born in Peru. It's just, it's one of those things that the world is, I think, recently starting to discover how exquisite Peruvian food is. So I totally agree with that. I love cooking for people. It's sort of like a mix of Chinese, Thai, and really nothing like Mexican food, because everybody thinks that, oh, food south of the border is Mexican food is very Mexican. It changes immediately when you get to Guatemala and Salvador and on down the line. Panama tastes nothing like Mexico. Neither does Colombia or Venezuela. So fixing food for people is definitely one of those things I love to do. And I love when somebody fixes something delicious for me as well. Oh, and then I'm going to do like Dexter's been doing for those of you who haven't, because giving each other the gift, it's part of a way of, you know, reaching out to others and blessing ourselves in the process. All of y'all that are getting a gift from Dexter or myself, or if you want to give anybody else in the group a gift of saying, you know, Patricia, it's so wonderful to have met you. And it's been a long time since I was in Australia. Enjoyed it back in the late 60s, early 70s. What part of Australia are you in? I'm just curious to know.
Sydney.
Oh, you're in Sydney itself? That's beautiful, Sydney. Got to go to the Opera House when I was there. And then there was the interesting part at night was, I think, King Street or something like that was sort of like where the more crazier fun things happened. And if anybody's never had a hamburger in Australia, they put everything on hamburgers. I mean, they put beets on them. They put all sorts of strange things. Australian hamburgers are pretty incredible. And I'm not really a hamburger fan.
May I wrangle you in, Wallace? You are so far off our little exercise here. I just,
Oh,
the only reason I'm really being stringent at this moment is because I am recording this and I want to be able to download it. And if it gets too long, then I can't. So
no problem.
I just would ask you one question specifically. If you have a particular tale of developing self-love, was there something specific that you had where you did not love yourself and you did something or something happened to you and you woke up to loving yourself a little more? That was the meat there we're after. But I enjoyed the stuff.
I'm going to pass that one on and think about it and come back to it. Sorry for getting off track.
No worries. We love you, Wallace.
We love you, Wallace. Nancy's got one.
Love you, Nancy, and love you, Veronica and Amy and Patricia and Dexter. You are all gifts and blessings. And one of the things I can say, yeah, a self-love thing has been coming to as many of these events as I can, because I've been pretty low lately, as I've explained to a few people, and beat up and whatnot. And it's good to come to these events where we can give and receive love and say thank you for it, and know that it's sincere and it's real and it's not being motivated by anything. So you're all a gift to me, and I really appreciate your love and the fact that you're all here sharing it with me.
Thank you, Wallace. Would you like to pass to Nancy?
Sure, Nancy.
Hey, Wallace, can I say
And,
what I see? Can I say what may I say what I see in you?
Please do.
Yeah, you have such an amazing heart and gift. I love your wisdom. I love how you have such an experiential life. And I've heard you say how you've really awakened to what real love is and what it's really all about. And you just have a wealth of wisdom and a wealth of knowledge of how to communicate. So you are a blessing. I've seen people in certain chats say, wow, Wallace, wow, Wallace, wow, Wallace. So I say, thank you for being wow. Hold on.
Thank you so much.
Are you talking? Because you're muted, Nancy. Are we gonna?
Okay. Yeah, no, I got a call. So I wanted to ask him to call him back. So okay. Yeah, so I wanted to share my story because, you know, I love to share my story about an experience I had. I was on a walking meditation with my husband, and it was a Dr. Joe walking meditation. And those are extremely powerful for me. And we were doing it together. And so it was, you get up early in the morning where there's no traffic. And I'm in this meditation. It's really deep, really, really amazing. And all of a sudden I opened my eyes and I saw my husband just looking at his phone. And I was like, I just got triggered. I got really triggered that he was not doing this with me. He was not protecting me because it's out in this place where, I didn't feel safe because of my fears. And then I could feel myself getting triggered and hurt and wounded. And then all of a sudden I was back into meditation, and I had this just awakening that I literally saw and felt myself looking at my husband and having all these expectations from him and I saw how I needed to get everything that I needed I was trying to get it on the outside, and I was trying to get it from him. And I wanted him to perform, and I had these expectations. If he did this, then I felt love. And if he did this, then he was with me. And if he did this, then I felt secure. And I saw that I needed it from the outside. And I also saw at the same time, just come back to me and come to my heart. And I saw that everything that I needed was already in me. All love was already in me, all security, all peace, all joy. And I saw that how I was always all my life trying to get it from others, from the outside. And that's why I was people pleasing and heroing, because then I would feel the love and the security and the significance and everything. I had that experience that everything was on the inside of me. And everything that we need is always straight from the inside. Sure, we need each other. We're all one. But it was the depth of knowing that trying to get stuff on the outside is not the higher way for me. And it was just a beautiful experience. And the power of having the experience doesn't mean it just shifts you forever. Sometimes it does, but not for me. So I have to remember that. And now that I got the experience, I can observe it so much more and see when I'm doing it. And I still got to practice too, just like practice the loving myself. So thanks for letting me share. I love you guys. I'm trying to do a couple things at the same time. So that's why my camera's off. You guys every one of you guys are profound and such a blessing in my life. I love you guys. Joy to be here.
That's beautiful, Nancy. Thank you so much for sharing that. Would you like to pass to someone?
Yes. Let's see. Noelle is next on my screen. So let's go with Noelle. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. I enjoyed that very much, Nancy, and it really resonates a lot with me. I think, it's funny because I told my one thing in the gathering that we did earlier, and I think I want to go back to that. There's other little adventures that I had that fed into my self-love, but I just want to re-say the thing that I felt was so important was that I had at a certain age in my 30s discovered that I was running away from my pain, seriously avoiding it, always doing something to distract me, or and then I turned and I faced it and I felt it, and it looked like a little emaciated old man, and I said, you poor thing, you've been suffering all this time, so rejected. And I embraced it, and I said, I'm going to feel every nook and cranny of that pain. And then I held the baby, and then I nursed the baby because I had been a young mother at that point. So this was like the most profound shift for me into self-love, and it has been and continues to be something that I keep growing, but I just reiterate that because I think that the thing we do is avoid that kid. And when we finally get, and Veronica shared that her inner child is 5, I have a relationship with different aspects of myself at different ages, and I will find pieces of myself, like this angry teenage part of myself that I just rejected forever, and oh shit, I haven't made friends with her yet, so it continues to be a relationship development of all the parts of myself that I split off on some level and rejected, pushed away. So that is the major story that was kind of foundational for all the rest, I think. But there was another thing that happened to me that was even happened before that. And it was when my son was actually nursing, and we fell asleep together, and I had a light dream. And the dream was that my friend Sarah and I, who often comes to these groups, were walking down the street by PS 29 in Brooklyn, where I went to school. And I started seeing these beautiful type of like the angel fish kind of fish, these neon looking fish flying in the sky. They were flying around. And I said, oh my God, that's so amazing. I know it's not real, but isn't that beautiful? And she was looking, we were looking at the fish, and the next thing I know, there was like this igloo that was light. It was complete. And for me, it was super attractive. So I just started making a beeline right to the middle of this igloo. And my friend is going, which she probably would, no, be careful. No, you don't know what that is, you know? And I was like, right in the middle of it. And I just started feeling like bliss, like I had never experienced in my entire life. And my self started to dissolve. It was terrifying. It was like, oh, I'm not going to be an individual anymore. I just started to erase and to be absorbed by the light. And I woke up in fear from that. And the light, quality of the light was present in the situation holding my son. It was like, oh my gosh, it was like this incredible holding and loving of me. So it somehow became part of my experience, this light dream. It was a wake up of some sort. And there was something of that probably led to me meeting my little inner child, you know, a few years later. Anyway, those are my self-love stories. And if I was to say to somebody how to achieve that, you know, I wouldn't have the first clue. It felt like grace. It was just, you know, somebody has a near-death experience and then nothing's the same after that. It was kind of like that. But I wish, and I've fantasized, you know, erasing the edges, like going into that light again. It's like, I'm willing, I'll show up now, I'll do it. But I think maybe it's not my time to be absorbed into the light, but at some point I expect I will, which turns out, I believe that light is what I'm made of. But, you know, the identity, the ego sort of puts a structure around us so that we can operate in this world. And eventually that will dissolve and we'll be home. And I will pass to Veronica. Are you available for this? She's been on and off. She's doing. All right, then. Amy, are you willing?
Mhm. I have to look at the question again one more time for myself. How turn that around? I guess the beginning probably for me that even opened this exploration and what have you. I started doing the Course in Miracles. Years ago, I showed up to I guess, trying to think of where I really noticed any of it even starting. You know, I grew up in the church and my mother went to church like every day and the priest came to eat and we went to Sunday school and we went to roller skate with the church and, you know, everything like that when I was younger. And so I always felt like God and I was a part of God, like God existed, God was real and what have you. But I always felt a great sense of peace in the church when I would go and it would be quiet and things like that. But I had a really big bullshit meter and I was calling bullshit on half the things they were talking about in church. You know, I couldn't be a priest, I couldn't be an altar boy, I couldn't do this, you know, all this kind of stuff. So, you know, and all of these rules of like my mother saying, you have to love your brother, you have to love her, she's your sister. Like, so all the bullshit stuff really was pretty front and center for me most of my life, or all of my life, until I went to this group of women. I went to this book club one day that my friend had invited me to go to. And then she said she wasn't going to go. And I didn't know anybody that was going to it. And I was like, All right. I really miss my mother and father had both passed away within a year of each other, and they were my best friend and my rock. And my sister was sick at the time, and I just really needed. I loved when I was a kid to go to coffee with my mom and her church, what I called her church ladies. And when my mom died, I lost the church ladies, and so I just wanted to be with something like the church ladies again. And so I went to this book club, and it ended up that I was quite a bit younger than everyone else there. And it felt like I was with my church ladies, but they had this completely different idea of God and Jesus than what I grew up in, because they practice A Course in Miracles. And that's what the book ended up being. It was actually Gary Renard's book, Disappearance of the Universe. I think that's the name of it. And I call those ladies my matriarchs now. And I remember just being completely like, I don't get this. I'm just showing up because I like these ladies. The stuff they're talking about is really weird. And they're talking about things not being real and being an illusion and things like that. And I just couldn't get my head around it. But I kept showing up. And it started to open up to me that, you know, there was still this set. I always knew that God was there, existed. Like I always believed in God and this higher source and higher power. But not until I went to this, they kind of had mentioned going to this retreat that was like a silent meditation type retreat. And it promised, or it suggested in its thing that you would have a divine experience of God. And I was like, I don't know if I buy that, but sounds kind of interesting. I'll go to the thing. Had gone to their meditation groups and things. And I did this weekend retreat, and we sat across from each other in dyad, and we kept saying, like, tell me who you are, tell me who you are, tell me who you are, over and over and over again, all weekend long. That was the only conversation we had the whole weekend. And at one point in the weekend, I was sharing, like, they said to me, tell me who you are. And I was telling them who I was. And I kept saying, I am, I am, I am, I am, I am. And then it like started morphing into this, like, I am the great I am, like kind of thing, you know, like, and I was like, what? And I just stayed in that. And I kept getting deeper and deeper into that, like, I am God. I'm everything. And it just opened up the most amazing experience of divinity. And this amazing experience of knowing that I myself was one with every single thing in the universe, and that thing that I was what I refer to as God. It was the universe. It was the divinity. It was that, like, so it was a really powerful experience. And I keep finding myself trying to go back to that experience. Like, I want to live there all the time. And so that, like, when I don't live there, when I'm not feeling that, I feel like I'm not that. And I want to figure out a way to feel that more often. More constant. Thank you. And realize that even when I'm not feeling that, I'm still that. I think that's really the thing that I'm working on right now, that even though I'm not feeling that, ooh, I'm still that. That didn't change. You know.
I want to thank you all. In my in this current state, I'm not here to tell a story right now. I just don't, I'm not in a heart space to get out a story. But just to let you all know that, like Amy, I am love. And so are you, and you, and you, and you, and you. And it's all beautiful as it's meant to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica.
think we got Dexter and then we're complete with this one.
May I add one thing? I was on my other computer when Amy was talking, and I just love the I am. And I was looking for something, and I saw a statement that says, "I am the door." And I just saw a Facebook message yesterday with a picture of a huge heart, and a person in the middle of the heart was a door, and the person had the door open. I am the door to my heart. So thanks. I love that. It was a great message. Thank you, guys.
I love that. Thank you.
So I guess I'm next.
All yours.
Okay. But before I get started, I want to tell Nancy that you are a gift in my life, because we haven't had too many interactions, but the few interactions that we have had, I've felt welcome, warm welcome feeling from you, and that's a true gift for me. I want to tell you thank you.
Thank
Now,
you.
yes. So can somebody ask the question, tell me the question again?
The question was, when, if ever, or whatever, if you were living where you didn't feel love, self-love, and now you do, what was it that happened? Or is there a story that you would like to share that would
Okay.
explain that? Or if you don't feel like that, what are some steps that what are some things that you have experienced that may tell you that you are loved, or bring you back
Okay,
to that?
let's start with the other day, this week, I was talking to one of the doctors here I have sessions with, and they asked me how did I feel in general. And I told them I felt like I'm taking up space here so somebody else could use. He was shocked. He was like, "What? Why would you say that?" And then he said it's got to come from that kind of thinking. It's got to come from your childhood somewhere. We talked about it, and I was telling him how I was living with my mom. Then she passed. I moved in with my grandparents, who had three other cousins was living there, and I just felt like I got put in this box, and and he said, "Yeah, that's what did it. That's what's probably started it." Then I said that throughout my relationships has always been I was been the major giver and not really receiving. He says, "Yeah, but you had something to do with that because you gave without receiving or accepting receiving, and that started a like a symbiotic type relationship where I was giving and they were receiving, and I taught them that." I was like, wow, So I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, that's me being a people pleaser, and so I was pretty much living a miserable life, and I didn't realize how miserable it was till I was in jail and felt that I was at more peace in jail than I was at home. I was like, nah, something's got to change. If you're just going to be in peace, you definitely should be in peace at home. So then I came here to this place, and I was telling one of my social workers what had happened and everything. She was like, "Oh, you cannot go back there. If you go back there, it's going to be over with." And I took that with a grain of salt, but I had been hearing it for years from my brother, and it's just a true fact. And that's when I started working on myself here, and I met the Earthwaking Village, and everything started changing for me as far as how I look at life. I just see a positive future now versus back when I was just existing. And now I see a future for me to be thriving. And so that's how I transformed to not loving myself to loving myself. And I have to be careful who I let in my circle, because let the wrong people in your circle, that's not gonna help you. And I also take it to very heart when what I got from the village is that stop hanging around people with a common background and start hanging out with people with a common future. So that's all this stuff is just weaving together to love, back to love and source. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dexter. That was beautiful.
Very well said.
I love the piece of that story where you realize, I just want to take a minute and just acknowledge you and honor you and just give you that back, that part of you that realized that you were more at peace in jail than you were at home. I did, and that you noticed that, and that you whatever it was that brought you to that awareness, what a blessing that was. And I'm so glad that you came to that, and that you found this little fishbowl of friendly faces and future thinkers and decided to show up and be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Amy. I receive all of that. Thank you.
Any concluding thoughts on that exercise before I turn the recording off? Did you get what you needed, Amy? Did some of that click for you? Your story was mind-blowing.
I think I keep finding that, I want to go back there. I see myself sometimes that, I would be really happy as one of those monks that sits by the river in India, and all they do all day long is just sit there and pray. And I see myself sort of that being my happiest existence. And also knowing that it's pretty far-fetched, and the reality of me actually sitting by the river all day in India, I'm sure it's hot, I'm sure it's buggy, I'm sure there's a lot of things that would not be comfortable doing that. But so I'm trying to rectify how to have that feeling and that experience and that essence of what that felt, and not be so attached to it. That's when I'm connected to God, and this is not. Not having that separation, not needing the experience to justify the truth, so I'm working with that and trying to figure that out and what have you, and how does that look. So I appreciate so much of what everyone's shared in these conversations. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. All right, I guess I will stop this one. And